Hello. So we're at the 9-week point with these indoor hydroponic tomatoes. We started them on July 4th and it's August 23rd. And some of these are 70 to 90 days until harvest. So we're at around the 63-day point with some of them. We only watered them once and that was at that 4-week point. This is going to be our second time watering them since starting them. We brought them up to the 1.7 point last time and they've been growing faster than I've anticipated. I probably should have tried to bring them up higher than that because they've ate a bunch. I just retested them and they're down to 1.1 and they're just a little bit below half. They're probably around a quarter to a third full. So I want to bring them up to that 2.1 to 2.5 because they're blooming and flowering and we have some nice looking tomatoes going on them, and I just want to make sure that they come off full size. So if you're wondering how we got them to this point, we've filmed updates through the entire process. We have been defoliating up until this point any sun leaves that don't get good light, any suckers to keep them to one main stem, and then we're going to have to top them when they start to get too tall. And sometimes we talk about how taking off suckers can sometimes take off potential yield and fruit. So if you want to keep your suckers to try and get some extra yield, I just want to show you the same way suckers are always going to grow so that you can know what parts of it to take off and disadvantage and what parts of it you may want to keep. So you can see where those little flower buds are. Every sucker is going to grow like this. There's going to be one leaf on the side here that's useless and can go. And then there's going to be another leaf on the other side that is also useless and can go. That's going to leave you with just the middle one and the buds on the flower. You can also take off this middle one when it gets a little larger, like that, and just leave the buds. And you can do this to all the suckers that you want to keep some extra fruit on. We can also keep some way down below that we can try and use as future main stems when we want to keep the plant for longer than its initial harvest. I'll talk more about this in the future. Some of these suckers way down low here, I may want to try and do something like that too to get extra yield. Look at all those tomatoes. I'm mainly keeping them to one main stem because they're extremely overcrowded. And some of them have up to 6 tomato plants in each. And you can see the tomatoes are coming off looking good. We're just trying to get full size out of them. I'm only going to keep a couple of the suckers like that since I don't want too many flower clusters stressing the plant out. It can be good to cut some yield back so the plant can focus more on the existing yield. If we're going to be keeping suckers, I need to make sure that I get to them when they're really small, unlike this one where it's gotten a little larger and now it's formed more of those sun leaves I don't want to keep and a longer branch I didn't really want. But you can see the smaller ones stay more just focused on the flowers. Tomato black cherry. This one's my favorite and seems to produce the largest clusters of around 18. Right here we have the large red cherry tomato. These seem to produce clusters of 8. This one's flowering okay. Tomatoes getting larger on it. The Roma tomato. Got some flowers on it, doing well. So the determinate ones, like I was saying before, do a really good job at splitting. This determinate tomato did a pretty good job at splitting here. And like I said, we want to keep them to one main stem. So I chose this one to be the main stem, but you can see there's flowers right there. You can see them better. This is after a couple days and they've gotten larger. I just want to show you guys some of the tomatoes we're getting off right now. So yeah, I can't wait to harvest these. I'll show you guys how they came out. I haven't used any of those little twisty ties I talked about. I ended up just wrapping them around the plant. So I'll use this one for example real quick. I want to be gentle with it, bring it up over the top, and then wrap it around like that. I've been doing that along the whole process. So when I go to prune or defoliate, I like to leave a little nub so that in the future the string doesn't slide up. So for example, if we come down here, these little nubs remain from the old sun leaves. So it acts as an anchor point still. I don't want to cut too close to the stem because I like these anchor points. I've shown the veg bloom bundle I use in the previous update videos. I'm going to show it again, and just to describe how I'm raising it to the full amount. I normally mix it up in the middle of each bottle's recommended amount per gallon, But since I want my nutrient solution to be denser, I'm going to be upping the amount to the full amount. It normally tests out to 2.1 EC and 6 pH. I want to see if I can get it to test out higher than that and hopefully keep that same pH. So I will show you guys the amount that I'm putting in and just the back of the bottles real quick and put it on the screen. If I mix it up for you guys, YouTube actually age restricts my videos and I have to appeal it. So I'll just show it and talk about it a little more. And if you want to see me actually mixing it up, I've done that in previous update videos. Like I said, I think we should have brought them up a little faster since this is a very, very fast growing crop. 70 to 90 days until harvest is incredibly fast. So yeah, I don't want to repeat myself too much of anything I've said in any of the last updates. So we have them in the short cold day tent at 8 hours around 70 degrees since they're day neutral and they don't care what light schedule they get to flower. We have 3 lights above them. They're each 150 watts, 2 foot by 2 foot flower coverage. The air conditioner is because we live in the desert and we have central air and it's 110 degrees out every day here, and that's kind of why I can't grow outside. I bring it up just because in previous videos I keep saying it pulls on average 300 watts, and that's because it's not always on, and when I plugged it into my solar generator, I saw that on average pulled around 300 watts. But it can peak at 715 because it's an 8,000 BTU. So I actually got one of those wattage calculators you plug into the wall that you can plug into. I'll show a clip of it to see exactly how much wattage we're using at 17 cents a kilowatt since it's went up from 14 cents, and to see exactly how much we've used per day in electricity in that room. It's a little unfair because the central air, so I actually put it on the strawberry tent with the 4 lights and the air conditioner in there and their pump, and it actually did come out to $2 a day, which is around what I estimated was $1.50 a day, but that was at 14 cents a kilowatt when I estimated that. And like I said, it's a little unfair because the central air. I want to get one in here to see how much wattage we use in here, but I know pretty much based off the other one now that it's just basically 300 watts more. So we're at 1600 watts in here when everything is on, because the air conditioner seems to pull around 660. But when the air conditioner turns off and the lights turn off, on average, it seems like this might be around $2.50, $3 a day. But again, the central air does not make it fair. But it's not like I leave the central air on just specifically for these rooms. It's cooling other rooms in the house that we use, and I don't really notice a difference because of it. But yeah, I only need them for about 3 months out of the year, and then the rest of the months out of the year, the lights actually heat the room up, and it's really convenient. So I can't wait to stop using them. So I will compare yield to kind of cost in the end. Some plants are more ROI positive than others. That's why I recommend like arugulas, lettuce, salad type plants, because we're harvesting these like once to twice a week, especially when they get really big like this. We're harvesting them all the time. And a salad can cost you anywhere from like 10 to 15 bucks at some places. So, and you're like forced to eat the salad. So it's like healthy too, because you're not going to say no to it and it's always there. So I recommend those a lot. Some things like the tomatoes and strawberries, we're seeing how much we get off of them and how much sense it makes to continue growing them. I think we're going to get a lot of tomatoes off of it and that it could be pretty worth it. I don't necessarily grow to save money, but I don't want to waste too much money in the process of growing like things that kind of waste kind of time. Like I grew oats and wheat and I got basically none off of it, and those took me 6 months. So I'm not going to keep growing things like that. I want to grow things more that kind of make sense and would make sense for you guys too. So I just highly recommend lettuces and arugulas, and you just keep harvesting them and eating off of them. But we'll see how much we get off the tomatoes and strawberries and stuff like that. So I'm going to add my 2 milliliters of HydroGuard. We do that every time we water. And then with Life Plus, I do 1 gram every 5 gallons. But then for microbial inoculation, we do 1 gram every 2 gallons. So I'm going to end up putting in around 3 grams this time just to up it a little bit when I normally do 2.25. We normally do 1 for every 1 gallon, so 5 grams of this. We're going to up that to 1.5 grams per 1 gallon. And then same thing here. This is going to go to 2 grams per 1 gallon, where we normally do 1.5 grams per 1 gallon. So we normally do 7.5 there, but we're going to bump it up. And then we're going to bump it up on the Veg Bloom Dirty. We usually do 5. We're going to do 6 for 1 gallon, so 30 total. I like to use the mask and gloves so I don't breathe in any of the powders or come in contact with any of the heavy metals or macro or micronutrients. It's not necessarily required. I just highly recommend it if you've read the safety data sheets, you don't want to come in contact with heavy metals and them to get absorbed into your skin. I recommend mixing them in a low humidity environment because they pull moisture out of the air and then they get all gunked up and blocked up. So the lower humidity environment you can mix them up in, the better. And try not to inhale it or let it get everywhere, settle everywhere. Mix it somewhere where people are going to come in contact with it. So this is the same nutrient solution I use for all of my plants. But obviously different plants like different NPK ratios. I kind of just ignore that and use the same solution for all my plants. But tomatoes generally like 24, 8, 18 or 18, 18, 21. My mixture is around 16, 28, 30. And at the bottom of these bottles, you can see they're all labeled with what they are. I just want to remind you, I did not go to school for any of this. I've just been doing it as a hobby for the last 4 years. And that's why I don't go super in depth with the NPK with it and mixing them up to try and match that more. But you could if you want to. And that's why they divide them up the way they do, so you can mix them up with different ratios and different amounts if you'd like to. But I just like to try and keep it simple. So I mix up the nutrient solution and I let the excess soot settle to the bottom of the bucket. We're at about 6 pH and around 2.6 EC. The pH tester just kind of like isn't super bright. I have the mask and gloves off at this point, but sometimes I can still smell a lingering smell and you don't want to breathe that in. So you could still have the mask on at this point, but it muffles when I talk. You just don't want to breathe in, and if you notice a smell, you're breathing it in. So tomatoes can live several years. I just want to show a root pole of our over 2-year tomato that we have downstairs. It's kind of on its way out and it has a dead basil in there with it. That's why I learned a lot about how to grow tomatoes. I'm deciding whether I want to keep it or not. I could get a tomato off of it just to demonstrate that I can make them live that long and get tomatoes off of them. And it's starting to flower again, so I might just to do that and then get rid of it. And we're going to see if we can get these to stay alive longer after their first harvest by chopping them back and pruning them and just seeing what we can do with them. So, I don't know. I'll show you guys and let you know what happens and everything that goes on. So when it comes to pollination, they're self-pollinating and a light shape or a tap is more than enough. Someone just commented that you can use a electric toothbrush, which is a great idea, just to help vibrate them around a little bit more, anything to shake them up. So I'm going to go through and add some water now and then retest and get back to you. So it may not look like it, but this is actually where the halfway point is. The red line is about where the bottom of the net pot ends, and then I don't fill them up anywhere above this top rim here, otherwise it'll overflow. Alright, so this is really good. We're testing up to 2.1 exactly. I'm going to go through and finish off the last 3 of them and let you know if anything changes, but that's really good. So we just retested them. This one came out to 2.01, 2.06, and 2.09. So about 2.1 across the board, which is what we were looking for. That's really good. The excess leaves, I keep all my extra leaves in a pile, so don't worry, I'm going to be composting them one day. I don't like throw them in the trash or something. So there's obviously some sun leaves that probably aren't getting some great light that we can cut off and defoliate still. I just don't like to take more than 30% off the plant within a couple day period. To help know which sun leaves aren't getting great light, we can use the lux detector. I like to cut off anything that gets around less than 3,000 lux, because at the tip, with some of these lights, we're at around 70,000 lux, and then as we get closer down to the plants, we're at around 15, 10,000. So some of these real lower branches here, you can see we're getting around 1,000 on these. Some of these can still get taken off because they're just getting too low of lux, and that's going to make the plant have a harder time staying hydrated, use more nutrients and more water to keep it alive, and that can make us get smaller tomatoes and stress the plant out a little bit. So I hope that helps. So I don't do any reservoir changes. I talk about this often. It's just I like to bring it up because it's different than the industry does. I think since they're temperature controlled in food grade black buckets and the pH doesn't really change, I noticed that since I use Veg Bloom Dirty in the bundle versus some of their other products, the pH stays constant even in some of my several year-long plants. So that's why you won't see me change reservoirs. So as always, we'll have a link down below to all the gear we affiliate for on Amazon. Any purchases directly help out the channel, and you guys have been very supportive of that, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm going to be showing demonstrations of some different hydroponic bucket setups in a future video, since I see you guys have been getting some of these bucket setups, and I want to give you guys some more options on the table. Also, be on the lookout for our merch, which is going to be dropping soon. We don't have that many in stock, and they're a couple years old, back from when we were in Connecticut. We've been really busy when we moved across the country, and so we got these printed over 3,000 miles away and a long time ago. We don't have that many, and I'll tell the story about them and the brand and stuff later in a different video. But just, yeah, I really like the hoodies, and I'll show you guys the shirt real quick. Alright, so this is the men's shirt. We have the women's shirt, which has purple birds. They could be unisex, I guess. The women's one is just a little more fitting to the female body. And we have the sizing chart, so make sure you check the sizing and everything. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Really appreciate you guys. So we'll update you guys again when we go to water, or if anything changes with them. For now, if you want, we have our hydroponic plants playlist. If this is on YouTube, on Facebook, it's somewhere. You can subscribe for more, or what YouTube thinks is best for you. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.